Hi, my name is Aiden, and I'm just your average third-year college student. I'm studying history with a focus on obscure cultures, their rituals, and beliefs. For the past 2 years, I've been living in a rented house in a quiet neighborhood of Springfield, a small town in the Midwest. The house belongs to an older woman, the rent is affordable, and it's not too far from campus. In short, it's an ideal setup for a student on a tight budget. Now, I'm reaching out to you, the readers of this story. I feel it's my duty to warn you about things you might overlook, but that can deeply affect your life. Let me say up front that I've always been a rational person. I'm not the type to believe in ghosts, superstitions, or anything like that. But recently, strange things have been happening to me, things I can't explain. In my search for answers, I stumbled upon a whole new chapter in history, one that deals with mysticism, otherworldly beings, and ancient rituals. So grab a notebook and a pen, because I'm about to share with you the key rules to avoid angering the supernatural entities that might be lurking in your home. There are many more rules, but these are the ones I think are the most important and easiest to break. Rule number 1: never leave water in the bathtub overnight. The idea is simple: every night before you go to bed, make sure the faucets in your bathroom aren't dripping. If you notice a leak, call a plumber as soon as possible. If it's too late to fix it right away, wrap a towel around the faucet to soak up the water and deal with it first thing in the morning. One evening, I broke this rule out of ignorance. I woke up in the middle of the night to the sound of water dripping from the bathroom. Half asleep, I walked toward the bathroom, and the dripping turned into a steady stream. As I reached for the door handle, the sound became a rushing flow of water. When I opened the door, I saw an old, thin, terrifying woman sitting in the half-filled tub. The water was murky and yellow, and the air was freezing cold. Her back was turned to me, but as I stood frozen in fear, she began to turn around. Her sunken eyes, sagging gray skin, and strands of wet black hair were horrifying. She was completely naked and whispered, "Come closer, the icy water is waiting for you. Let's see if you can breathe underwater." I slammed the door shut and sat on the floor, pressing my back against it. For hours, I heard the water running and splashing inside. At some point, I must have fallen asleep. When I woke up in the morning, the bathroom was empty. I thought it was just a nightmare, but the tiles were covered in frost, and I found strands of long black hair in the drain, proof that it wasn't just a bad dream. Later, I discovered that the figure was known as the Drowned Lady, a spirit of a woman who drowned in her own bathtub. She appears if water is left running and uses it to draw unsuspecting people to their deaths. If you ever hear dripping water at night, don't investigate. If possible, leave the house entirely. If not, do your best to ignore it and fall asleep. While researching the Drowned Lady, I came across many more rules about other supernatural entities. Here are a few more to keep in mind. Rule number 2: never open a closet door in complete darkness. I haven't personally encountered the creature that lives in dark closets, but it's very real. Her name is Wardina, derived from wardrobe, and she is the spirit of a little girl who brings terror to those who encounter her. Wardina, whose real name was Scarlet, loved playing hide-and-seek as a child and often hid in closets. One night, during a game, she disappeared without a trace. All that was left in the closet was a hair ribbon she had been wearing. Since then, her ghost has haunted closets, waiting in the shadows. Survivors of encounters with Wardina never talk about what they've seen, so no one knows exactly what she looks like. She fears light, so it's safe to open a closet during the day or with the lights on. But in darkness, you must be very careful. To check if Wardina is present, listen closely. If you're in bed and hear creaking or faint cracking noises from your closet, that's a bad sign. Most people dismiss these sounds as the house settling or the wood expanding, but they're often the first signs of her presence. If Wardina hasn't arrived yet, you can prevent her appearance by keeping your closet clean, leaving the door slightly ajar, or installing small LED lights inside. If she's already there, the only solution is to get rid of the closet entirely. If you must open a closet in the dark, use a flashlight. Never, and I mean never, open a closet door in total darkness. She could drag your soul into the void and leave your lifeless body hanging among the clothes. Rule number 3. Never sleep facing a mirror where you can see your reflection. Every mirror is more than just a reflective surface. Inside every mirror lives your reflection, a version of you from another world. If you wake up at night and accidentally catch your reflection, be prepared to see something horrifying. Your reflection will look like you, but distorted and terrifying. But the reflection isn't the worst part. The true terror lies in what it reveals, your deepest fears. Maybe you'll see spiders crawling all over your skin. Or maybe you'll look under your bed and find an endless abyss, triggering a fear of heights you never knew you had. People who have faced their reflection in the middle of the night often lose their sanity. They can't distinguish between reality and the mirror world. Their minds break, unable to cope with what they've seen. To avoid this fate, never sleep facing a mirror. Always move it away from your bed or cover it with a sheet to protect yourself from the horrors of the other side. Rule number 4. Don't leave an empty chair near your bed at night. As a kid, I used to throw my clothes over the back of a chair instead of putting them in the closet. My mom would always nag me to clean up, saying it made the room look messy. One night, after cleaning up and leaving the chair empty by my bed, I went to sleep. Around 3 a.m., I woke up with a distinct feeling that someone was watching me. The air in the room felt heavy, and in the darkness, I could make out the outline of the chair and a shadow sitting on it. At the time, I dismissed it as a half-dream. But now, after diving into the world of supernatural research, I understand that what I saw wasn't just my imagination. Empty chairs by the bed attract wandering spirits, particularly those who lived in the house before you. They might be deceased relatives looking for a place to rest, or previous tenants of your home. These spirits won't harm you, but waking up to see a shadowy figure sitting silently by your bed can leave a lasting psychological scar. To avoid this, always push chairs under a desk or table, or place something on them so no one, or nothing, can sit there. Rule number 5. Never leave windows wide open at night. This rule comes from the chilling story of a man named Fred. After a series of personal struggles, Fred made the tragic decision to jump out of his window. The next morning, his broken body was found on the pavement below. But when the coroner's office went to retrieve his body, it had vanished. Since then, a creature known as the Slinker has roamed the night, searching for open windows. With its long, twisted arms, it reaches inside and pulls unsuspecting victims toward the window, throwing them out before disappearing into the darkness. To protect yourself, always close your windows before bed or leave them open just a crack. Curtains can also help, as the Slinker might not notice an open window if it's covered. If you hear a tapping at your window late at night, do not investigate. It's the Slinker, trying to lure you closer. Rule number 6. Never fall asleep while water is boiling on the stove. Falling asleep while boiling water could summon the spirit of the scalding man. One account I read online told the story of a young man named Aaron. Late one evening, Aaron put a pot of water on to boil and dozed off at the kitchen table. When he woke up, his right hand was missing. The horrible smell in the air led him to the stove, where he found his hand, chopped into pieces and boiling in the pot. Researching the scalding man, I found similar stories of people who made the same mistake. Always stay awake when you're cooking, especially when boiling water. Rule number 7. Always straighten your blanket before going to sleep. This rule might seem trivial, but it's crucial. If your blanket becomes too tangled while you're sleeping, it can attract a spirit known as the suffocator. This entity gains power after midnight and lingers until dawn. While you sleep, it tightens the blanket around you, making it harder to breathe. I had my own encounter with the suffocator recently. All night, I had terrible nightmares, and when I woke up, I was drenched in sweat. My throat was sore, and there were faint bruises on my neck. I realized I was lucky. If the suffocator had come a few minutes earlier, I might not have woken up at all. To protect yourself, always make sure your blanket is loose and untangled before going to bed. If you feel it tightening around you during the night, adjust it immediately. In conclusion, be vigilant. Our homes and daily lives are filled with unseen entities and supernatural threats, whether you believe in them or not. I'll be back soon with more rules for surviving both inside and outside your home.